Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm Kalikaiz. Today we're going to be discussing the decks of the week. We're looking at the Magic Online metagame, what happened in the trophies for the Pauper leagues, what happened in the challenges, and then we're going to look at some of the spice. And there's a very, very large amount of it. People have been experimenting quite a bit, which is awesome to see. Before we get into it, remember that you can check out sideboard guides on patreon.com/Kalikaiz. You can get early access to the videos on the YouTube membership section. And, like and subscribe, leave me a comment, all that good stuff. Also, you can always get in touch with me on the Discord, the familiars, or like the Storm Discord, or, chat on Twitter or whatever. So hopefully we get to talk about Pauper and have some fun. Okay, so what happened on the Magic Online leagues? So first of all, we had 153 trophies, which was really sick to see. Just tons and tons and tons of trophies. Most of that actually was mono red at 20% of that. And most of that was based off of a specific 2 days. So mono red had 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And then 2 of the days of the week on the 4th and the 5th, which were like in Tuesday, Wednesday of last week, we had 18 trophies from mono red in 2 days. On this day, there was 10 trophies just from mono red, which was just insane. But that day had 34 total trophies. So I don't know what was going on that day. There was something in the water, but mono red crushing. Then second was Affinity. A lot of variations of Affinity, to be honest, which we'll get into. Mostly Grixis. There was some Mardu Affinity, some Dimir Affinity, some Jund Affinity as well. Then we have Mono Blue Fae, and then below that, Black Green Glee, Terror, Tron picking up a lot at 4.6% of the total trophies, which was sweet. A lot of those were me, which I'm happy about, but some of them were other people just picking up the deck. It's a little bit easier to play now, which is great. Also, I managed a trophy with Tron, and then people are experimenting with the refurb shell, and even just trying to use the new artifact-based cards in different decks, which is cool. We have the combined metagame, mono red still on top, then Affinity, then Glee combo at 7.8% in total. So really just a mono red week over here on the Magic Online leagues. If you look at the challenge recap from Curb Linksy, it was pretty well spread out. Nothing really standing out too much, although you have Golgari and Jund Brood-Scale at just over 18% of the metagame, just the top deck of the challenges. It's also the top deck in percentage of the Italian events, as far as I understand as well. But Kuldotha did not do very well this week. And Glee, looking at a positive record. Bogles, just getting in there and getting things done, which is interesting. We have Grixis Affinity, kind of a 50%. Dredge up there, Dimir Fae. This is probably mostly the sneaky snacker version of Fae. Just crushing, so I don't know if that was specifically Barf doing really well on lots of challenges. I think he did split or win one of them, but don't quote me on that. You can check it out. Tron showing up in 7 pilots. That's awesome as well. And kind of moving down, some people playing the mono black Pactdoll deck. Some people just not even showing up. Whale Helix combo out there getting a 3/3. That's nice. All right, so let's check out some of the decks that happened this week because it got pretty crazy. So the first thing I wanted to point out was Niederschatten. They are currently the trophy leader. They played Burn. Nothing wrong with playing Burn. That is a thing, but they decided that they wanted to make a statement. And that statement was Jedit Ojanen. It is a 7 mana 5/5 for 4 blue, white. And why would you play this? They just felt like, why not have Burn show up as a Jeskai deck? So let's go down. Oh, I can't even see it. But in the league, this shows up as white, blue, red Burn, which is hilarious. They just wanted to meme on people, I guess. And they got it done. The next deck I wanted to look at was Tron that I played. 2 of 5/0. This Tron deck works on having the cost reduction of Foundry Inspector and eventually looping Conjurer's Bauble with an empty deck, where you put a Bauble on the graveyard and draw it. So you just have an infinite mana neutral loop, just bobbling for Bauble, which gives you infinite Pactdoll terror triggers to drain out your opponent. But I felt like testing out just playing 3 Snuff Out in the main deck, which ended up doing a good job. It's really good for familiars, I mean not familiars, for the Tron deck versus something like Fae, and it's also good versus Brood Scale, and I did face a creature-based combo deck where it came up in the main, which was fun. Also opens up some space in the sideboard for Weather the Storms and Fangren Marauders. I managed a trophy with Poison Storm. You'll notice that this is a lot cheaper than previous lists because this deck I have been playing Lotus Petal, and here I cut 4 Lotus Petal to go up to 18 lands off of 16, replacing 2 of them with 2 of the Lotus Petals with Sandstone Needle and 2 of the Lotus Petals with Snap. So we have more main deck interaction for Brood Scale, but going down on red sources and green sources, just colors in general. So if you wanted to pick up this specific list, I would probably go to 3 Snap, 1 Needle, and 2 Lotus Petals. That gives you 8 red sources in the main deck, which I think is pretty important. And it also helps you to randomly draw into mana when you're tapped out so that you can get that last oomph and hit another large Weather the Storm. So these are the semi-spicy, right? Next one is a Jund Glee by Hype. They've been having fun playing Jund Glee. It's not Jund Glee, it's Jund Affinity, sorry. This is Mirror Enforcer, Writhing Chrysalis, Refurb. So they're playing very similarly to the Jund Wildfire deck, but playing Mirror Enforcer in the deck. Otherwise, pretty normal. But, you know, playing Jund for all the good cards. Just the best cards to enter the format recently. We have a black-green. So this is Gardens from Nash 06. The interesting thing I wanted to point out was they're playing 4 Wreckage Wickerfolk in the main deck. It says when it enters Surveil 2, it's a flying 1/3. So this is something that you can sacrifice to your Deadly Disputes and Eviscerator's Insight. It's a black card that when it goes to the graveyard, that counts for your Spinning Darkness. And it can get in the air to take back the Monarchy or the Initiative. So you have Thorn of the Black Rose and Avenging Hunter, and this can pick that back up. Also block against things like Mono Blue Fae, and block against Mono Red decently. They're also playing 2 Grim Baubles in the main deck. So I was sort of interested to see, like, is this deck going to be playing Refurb and kind of that package? But this person's still more on the old Gardens package. There are players playing a mono black or black green version of this, not relying on Avenging Hunter and Thorn, but other ways to get card advantage and playing Refurb. So it's kind of like a mono black artifact control-y deck. Moving up the list, we have White Black by Orbletto. So this is Black White Blade, which has been pretty decently upgraded here. We have 4 Glinthawk to pick up your refurbished familiars. And then you have a split of 2 and 2 Novice and Thraben Inspectors. But the big change that they did was play 4 Pactdoll Terrors. And they kind of trounced me in a league. The Pactdoll Terrors do a really good job of just continuously draining out your opponent to kill them. They have 4 Cast Down in the main deck and 2 Thraben Charms, so they have main deck anti-graveyard combo. They still have the Tithing Blade that they can pick up with the Glinthawk. And then they're playing Grim Bauble as well. They have Castigate in the sideboard. Yeah, I got wrecked by that Castigate for sure. No Keebagang in the main deck, but that's something that you could play as well. Here we have a very similar deck. This is Mardu Affinity, which is by Sizaka, or Cha-Cha, actually I think it is how you pronounce it. But Cha-Cha played this, and I actually picked it up for a video a while back, which you can check out on my channel. It's just using the Affinity Shell to play Mirror Enforcer, Refurb, and Glinthawk versus trying to play it with like just this like Thraben Inspector Trinkety Artifact plan. Very similar plan for sure. They have Prior Clan Shaman plus the new card that people have been using, Hunter's Blowgun. So Hunter's Blowgun specifically is actually pretty good. I think there's some benefit to playing it over Toxin Analysis. So firstly, Toxin Analysis will make your Prior Clan Shaman have Death Touch and Lifelink, which is great because then that gains you a bunch of life. But Hunter's Blowgun sticks around, whereas you have to have the combo at the same time for Toxin Analysis. You can just use this for a little bit of extra value and give your creature +1/+1 and get in. So you can make your Mirror Enforcer a 5/5, so it tangles with terrors. You can make your Refurbished Familiar basically into a Delver. All that's pretty good. And then it has also gives you reach on the opponent's turn and death touch on your turn. So you can still wipe the board, and you don't need quite as many of them in play or like at the right time in order to get the Krark-Clan Shaman death touch to wipe the table. So I think that's a pretty good thing to be playing. They have a Grim Bauble in the deck, makeshift munitions. They actually trophied 2 times this week, so congrats to them. Moving up the spiciness scale, Orbuletto with another trophy, playing black-green Pactdoll. The only green deck in the main is 2 Evolution Witness and 2 Heaped Harvest. But they also have Wither and Bloom. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You can exile from your graveyard to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, which can do pretty well with this Evolution Witness. And they have, it's kind of just still the black Pactdoll control deck. Grim Baubles, Snuff Out, Cast Down, they're doing the thing. For sure. Very grindy with that Evolution Witness. Another person tried a very similar deck, and they're just not playing the Heaped Harvest. So you're seeing a little bit of experimentation still in the Pactdoll stuff. They're playing Mukotai Ambusher, excuse me, for a little bit of life gain in the main deck instead of playing the Heaped Harvest. I'm not sure which is better, but it's cool to see the experimentation. Speaking of Pactdoll Terror experimenting, we have another Dimir Affinity. Terror, Refurb, Mirror Enforcer. I mean, that package is just quite strong. Then they have, let's see, just 3 removal spells with Cast Down, but 6 counter spells with 3 straight up counterspell and 3 Metallic Rebuke. This deck is probably going to be one of the better versions of Affinity against Dust to Dust. It's because you have so many counterspells. Then they have 4 Dispute, 4 Bargain, and 3 Thoughtcast for a very large amount of card draw, with 4 Blood Fountain, because Blood Fountain turning on Pactdoll, like, it's a shock, essentially, is great. And then you have 4 Ichor Wellspring. Let's see, anything else cool going on over here? We have 2 Thorn of the Black Rose in the sideboard for the grindy matchups. Nice. Okay, so moving on to the next deck. I'm sorry, everyone. Gruul Ponza is somehow back. This person played literally 12 Ponza effects. Stone Rain, Thermokarst, Acid Moss, and they're just leaning on Boarding Party Altasaur to get the job done. Maybe this is a result of people playing Poison Storm and Alter Tron, getting wrecked by that, but I did not want to see that coming back, so congratulations to them. Please nobody pick this up. The next deck I wanted to check out was Poison Storm again, but this one is by Cosmic Charles, and they play a very different version of Poison Storm. 17 lands, no petals, only 2 Lorien Revealeds, whereas I'm playing 4. But what they're working on here is they play Teach by Example, which is a copy effect. When you play it, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn gets copied, and you can choose new targets. They wanted to go up on proliferation and poison. So they have 5 poison spells with Prologue and Infectious Inquiry, which is here. Then they can also Teach by Example those to get more poisoning on. They have a lot of actual proliferation with 4 Roots, 4 Plan, 4 Augury, and 4 Vivisurgeon's Insight, plus 2 Merchant Scrolls, which can search up Experimental Augury or Prologue. And it can also actually search up the Teach by Example. So you can maybe Teach by Example of Vivisurgeon's Insight and draw 6 cards, which, I mean, that is living the dream for sure. I would love to do that. Sideboard, they're playing Dispel, great versus blue decks. Prohibit, I thought this was an interesting way of handling like fairies potentially, or also the Brood Scale deck, because Prohibit counters the Brood Scale pretty well, where potentially Bring the Ending doesn't very much. They have 2 more snaps for the Brood Scale. Tangle as their fog of choice. A total of 4 Breath Weapon in the 75, and then 1 Out Cold. So Out Cold says can't be countered. Tap up to 2 target creatures and put a single stun counter on each of them, and then investigate. So it does sort of cantrip, but I'm not super sold on this specific card, although I know people have been excited to see whether or not that would make a splash in Poison Storm. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 more decks. Just so many lists this week. It's been crazy. Okay, back to Sesta. Sesta just continuing to crush with their mono black artifacts deck. Glaze Fiend Pactdoll Refurb. I wanted to point out that they have 4 Duress in the main deck now, which is pretty wild. 4 Duress, 4 Snuff Out. So they really did not want to die to Glee. I mean, if you want to play an aggro deck that doesn't, like, this is crazy. 4 Duress, 4 Snuff. They're just going to get it done. 4 Blood Fountain. And Spinning Darkness. Wow. They, this player plays really sweet decks. I would follow their Goldfish page for sure. The next deck is still Affinity stuff. And come on, we're looking at pretty much all of these decks are just, how can I use artifacts to my advantage? Which maybe that says a thing. I don't know. There's a lot of bridges and artifacts and deadly disputes going around in this spice. Oh well, no real mono blue stuff. But maybe if we move up to the top, we have, this is Red Black Burn from Ruga. I don't know. But the thing is, they're playing Glaze Fiend and Refurb, which is great. Those are powerful cards. Voldaren Epicure is pretty synergistic with the Glaze Fiend and the Reckless Fire Weaver here. And then they have 4 Bolt, 4 Blast, 4 Dispute, 4 Fanatical Offering, 4 Blood Fountain for more shocks, Makeshift Munitions. This is a really cool deck that I'm interested in trying out. Very, very, very aggro version of Affinity. Not even playing any Mirror Enforcers. So it's really just a burn deck. Okay, USP dudes, still working on their Pactdoll Terror control deck. They have 4 Accursed Marauder in the main deck and 4 Blood Fountain to get back the Marauders, plus 4 Grim Bauble. But they're just looking at 3 Pactdolls here. I just thought it was cool that they're playing 4 Grim Bauble. That thing is a sweet card, and I'm glad that it's making a difference now in Pauper. Kill the little things, kill the big things, drain out your opponent. And then what's cool about Accursed Marauder, maybe they were working against a Bogles deck, but it says when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. So let's say your opponent has a big Bogle and a couple of spawns. A regular Edict wouldn't work against that, but this one does because they cannot sacrifice their tokens to the Edict. Okay. We're moving up. We got 3 decks left. Here comes, I think this is a fan favorite for sure, Mono Red Tron. Just big burn spells. They've got 4 Bolt, 4 Volcanic Spite, and 2 Rolling Thunder. The cool thing about Volcanic Spite is it says, deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, or battle. That doesn't matter. You put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library if you want to, and you draw a card. So let's say you had drawn multiple self-assemblers. You have them in hand. Now you can put a self-assembler on the bottom of your deck and then redraw it when you cast the other self-assembler for a bunch of card value. They've got Filigree Familiar, gains life, potentially draws a card if it dies, Staunch Throne Guard to get the Monarch, and then Boarding Party and Oliphant for big fatties, 4 Candy Trail to gain life, 4 Lembas to gain life, and then Map. Really cool deck. In the sideboard, 4 Red Blast, 4 Cast into the Fire, Relic, Breath Weapon, Gorilla Shaman. It just does the thing. You're going to put a big creature on the table and you're going to beat down with Mono Red Tron. Maybe, I mean, it's cool because it seems to be more aggro than the Mono Green Tron, which I covered last week, I believe. Maybe I didn't, but I had a video of that. I don't remember when that person trophied. So there was a Mono Green Tron. It was just basically a Mono Green life gain Tron. But now, this deck is really, really spicy. I would have called it the spiciest deck of the week, but something did edge it out just by a little bit. But this is essentially Jeskai Ephemerate by Gregorius Ill. This person is from Italy, I believe, and they decided that they wanted to meme on everybody and play a singleton deck. So no cards are repeated, except for accidentally they had Cast into the Fire in the main deck and Cast into the Fire in the sideboard. Wait. Right? No. But they said they did. They must have... Okay, maybe not. So the entire deck is all one-ofs. It's really hard to actually tell what's going on here, but it's essentially just playing the Jeskai Ephemerate plan, removal, cantrips, counterspells, and getting it done. Very, very difficult. Let's see. Let's go to visual view. Maybe we can sort it by like pile sort it. Yeah, that's not easier to see. Not easier to see. That's okay. Back. All good. But congrats to them on a singletons trophy here. One of cleansing wildfire, really getting it done with the bridges. And then the spiciest deck of the week. Dun dun dun. We have Tortured Existence. So Floyza, the creator of Mono Red Tron, the creator of Mono Black Tron, has managed to trophy with 4 Tortured Existence in his deck. And this player did 4-0 and then split the finals, which, you know, take that or leave it. But apparently there's some sort of combo with the Eidolons where whenever you play a multicolored spell, you return it from your graveyard to your hand, which just gives you a lot more value to play. So like you Tortured Existence, discard this to get back a multicolored card. You play the multicolored card, you get back the Eidolons. So the Eidolons are apparently doing crazy stuff in the deck. And also, because they have 4 Rumble, 4 Cash Grab, and Jihada's Ploy, they can put the Eidolons in the graveyard and then keep getting them back. Spore Frog, you can loop for a fog effect. Mass Vandal, you can loop to kill all, just wreck all your opponent's artifacts. Let's see what else is in there. Stater Wayfinder, 1 Kitchen Imp, 4 Trolls, Carrion Feeder. So I guess Carrion Feeder is in there so you can get your Eidolons into play and then sacrifice them and do more nonsense. Whenever you discard a spirit card or a card with Disturb, put a +1 counter on Shipwreck Sifters. Are these spirit cards? Wow. There's so much synergy going on here. I think this is very big brain, and I'm excited that this happened, and I would love to see somebody else try this out and get another trophy. So let's see if you can get there without the split. If you have any comments on the decks that I've covered, or if I missed anything, let me know. And I guess that's it for me right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.